we'll see how I get there. Uh, I started with all these storms and stuff, and I started talking about this last week because we have Irma right now, and all of a sudden we don't hear anything about Harvey, right? And I almost guarantee you, once Irma goes, we won't hear about anything else. Everybody will go back to their regular regular life. And so I would suggest that we don't wait till the next hurricane to talk about helping one another. We always do that, and we always fall back into that state. We will, it's almost like we don't really pray until we're sick. Whereas prayer should be every day, or prayer should be all day, right? Every day, all day, that's me. Are you thankful for what you have right now? That's prayer. Are you thankful for your feet? I do a meditation like this. Are you thankful for your feet? That's carried you all these years. I guarantee you, 50% of people never say thank you. We just take it for granted. And so if we don't start with our body, then how can we expect to even talk about other people and then, the earth and the weather patterns and all that kind of stuff? Good suggestion. We have to do that, right? We have to do that. I almost think if we were to take care of everybody along the way, when something happens, we wouldn't have much to do because we would be already prepared, right? So I just want to throw that out there. And then there's all kinds of other things about weather control. How many people heard of weather control? Or it's called geoengineering, right? Where the Air Force actually came out and said, yes, we can control the weather, but we don't do it anymore. I don't believe the second part. We don't do it anymore, right? And so we just need to know that. And then there's some people that are I'm not beating anybody up. There's some people that want to pray the storm away, right? And then the question to me was, well, where do we pray it away to? Just from ourselves and on to somebody else? Or what do we do? Right? That was the first question. And then I also heard that if we want to pray it away, we need to realize that we prayed it in. By all our thoughts and all our commotions and all our wars, we're just creating that energy for that just to happen. But we don't think we have that much power, so we don't. We don't even go there. Nobody ever told us that. I didn't hear that in school or even in church. But all those things are possible. If you can make yourself sick by thinking, you can heal yourself by thinking. The same principle, right? Same principle. So we just have to do this stuff all the time, right? And so I want to talk a little bit about sacred geometry. If anybody wants to throw a question up, that would be cool as well. And okay, so I learned this one thing, kind of hit my reset button during my studies. Everybody knows what a Mason is, right? Right? Everybody knows what's the highest degree a Mason can go? 33. All right. There's actually 36, but there's only 33 we talk about. There's the inner circle, and there's the outer circle. But the outer circle doesn't know about the inner circle. Just saying, just throwing that out there. All right. Did anybody hear that? All of the astronauts who's ever been in space are 33-degree Masons. So you got to check that out. Just throwing the information out there, right? And so the Masons are known for what? Secrecy, right? Secrecy. I had the option to join the Masons when I was in the Philippines, and they were good friends of mine, good brothers of mine from the islands as well. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm okay to join because they got to feel you out. And then they were like, okay, so when we have our meetings, you can't tell anybody. You can't even tell your wife, your family, or nothing. That you know where you're going or what you know, what you're learning. I was out immediately because that just didn't feel right to me, right? So it's this secrecy thing. And so, who best to send up in the air that if I see something I don't know what it is, I'm gonna be quiet about it? Would be somebody who's knows a lot about secrecy and keeping secrets. And I don't know about the secrets. You know, who are you keeping secrets from? You know, I don't know what. I think it started long ago. You know, when if you talked about certain things off with your head. We know that, right? To be true. They call you witches or whatever they call you, you know, or pagans or whatever it is they called us. Or if you spoke out against the church, off with your head. Pretty much how it was in a nutshell. So this stuff started long ago. But I don't believe in secrets from the people, and that's what's going on. Everybody should know this stuff, right? Everybody should know that John Kerry went to Antarctica within the last 2 years to look at something. A lot of people went there to look at stuff. What is it? Hey, we don't even know. Or they're not telling us. Or they're not they're not making it public. And public just means public to the people that are watching TV, pretty much. But for folks that I know who are intuitive, you don't have to know. You can go and grab whatever it is. Right? Everything is connected to everything else. Everywhere. So at some point, you have the option to go inside and connect to and find out whatever you want. Right? Anybody ever heard of remote viewing? Okay. Let me go into the bank really quick. So, and these are things you just want to know about. If you want to read them, you can go and grab the book, or you can ask to borrow mine. Again, if you borrow my book, I want a book report for everybody. This one is called Remote Viewing Secrets. Right? It is by Joseph McMoneagle. Right? This looks new, right? The government has been doing remote viewing since the 40s. 1940. So way back there, they've been doing this stuff. Right? So what do they know that they're not telling us? You gotta do your own research on this stuff. Because there's lots of things they're not telling us because they're gonna think, oh, religion will be no more. We won't have doctors. Right? Or so, and I'm not beating religion up. I was brought up on that stuff. I'm still religious, but my mind is expanded. I'm spiritual. I'm adding some more stuff on there, right? And so, if we were to know that we're not alone in the universe, what do you think would happen? That's the biggest question now. Because everybody thinks, oh, we're all alone. There's nobody else out there. right? We know that to be true, that most people think that, because that's what they tell us. Ain't nobody else out there but us. You look out at night and you see 1 billion stars, and we're going to think we're the only ones out there. Right? Not so. Not in the least. We might be unique, but we're not the only people out there. And so, and I said something about this as well. For those who are uninitiated, if somebody comes with advanced technology, we will be like, oh, it's magical, you're God.
Yeah.
Guarantee it. It's okay to laugh out loud, because it's funny. Right? If somebody came down and were able to pick up that car from the back, we would be like, oh, in awe, because they can do that, and we would want to put them on a pedestal and start playing that game. But what if we knew that in their pocket was a little mechanism that would equal out gravity? Then it's not magic. So the uninitiated would think it is magic, and those of us who are quote unquote initiated or been toying with it, we would realize, oh, it's just natural law. This is just natural stuff. They understand how stuff works, right? And so that's one of the reasons they don't want to bring all this information out. Because then who would go to church? Right? And to me, we would still go to church, but it would have to metamorphosize into something different. And that's the struggle right now. They don't want to change. Right? They just got one book, won't even call the name of it, and then that's it. And again, you know, I've been reading that book for a long time, and I've been reading other books. And there's some people that I don't argue with anybody about that book anymore, because they'll say, okay, here's what that book says, and then corroborate that. Here's what this book says in another part of the same book. So you're corroborating the book with the same book. Right? Problem for me. Because if you want to talk about that book, then you got to point me to another book that talks about this book. Right? And there are books that corroborate what the Bible says. Right? I brought some of them in before. Right? The Urantia book, the book of Enoch. Right? They all corroborate stuff in the Bible. So why don't we know about those books? I suggest we need to find out what those books are about. Because Judith was just pointing out to me again, in our book, where we change the principles. I wasn't there during the conference to find out why they changed the principles, but they took out the words sacred text. Don't know why we did that. You know, what text were we referring to, you know, a few years back? What were those? Somehow, we don't want to talk about those anymore, so we just cut them out. Same thing they did at the Council of Nicaea, where we was like, oh, we don't want to talk about that, so out they go. Right? And so we need to know about all that stuff. And a lot of this stuff is tied to sacred geometry. Right? Sacred geometry, that's a familiar word to all of us, right? No? It should be. Right? Look at your dollar bill. You see the pyramid on there. You see the All-Seeing Eye of Horus, right? All these things have to do with sacred geometry. And so what the deal about sacred geometry is that all these shapes have certain energies with them inherent, right? We got a pyramid in the back of the house made of copper that we sit in, right? Because it is the energy of the pyramid itself is a healing energy. Right? I did a lot of stuff with Lemurian Atlantis. So back then, that's what they used to do. They would go into a healing room and sit down and get some recovery. How come we don't hear about that stuff? Right? And so we need to worry about that stuff or learn about that stuff or just be aware. And so now the deal about Antarctica is that they have been excavating Antarctica for many, 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 many years. From the 40s or 50s or something like that. Where they've been excavating because they found something. They found like a underground city almost. I think a lot of it says that they found this civilization that was flash frozen. Means the temperature dropped immediately to below zero and everybody was flash frozen. Right? And so the only way that could have happened is that there was a shift somehow and the summer became winter immediately. Right? But how come we don't know about that stuff? Because there's things they don't want us to know. They just don't want you to know. Right? That's
mass hysteria, power.
Yes, it is. I mean, there's so much than that too. Just because people are right now, somebody's feeding on all our fears. The fears of the storm. So the storm is happening now, right? So people are scared, understandably so. Also, the fact that it's a storm and there's something that we call tomorrow. Some people are scared of tomorrow already, even though it may not even happen. And again, somebody's feeding on that fear. Because fear is energy, right? Bottom line, fear is energy, just like joy is energy. People are feeding on that. That's why they don't want to tell us certain things to keep us a certain way, right? If you knew about all the stuff that you could do, you wouldn't be sitting here right now. You'd be out doing stuff. Or you'd be sitting in your house and you would be traveling in your head. Because you can go anywhere you want, as far as you want, anytime you want, right where you are right now. Because you're connected, right? We always say that. We're connected. We're made in the image of God. And so we're connected. So we could, and that's remote viewing. They can close their eyes and say, okay, they give you a target, it's called, and you can go there and see what these people were doing. They was doing this, in the, what's the German war? Is that the First World War?
Yeah, both of them. Both world wars had the Germans.
So even back then, they were remote viewing on what the Germans were doing.
Yes.
Of course, if they're doing it then, they're going to be doing it now, and they're going to be doing it all through all the wars.
And the Russians.
Right? Everybody was doing it. So the deal about the Germans was that they had contact, however it was, because they had mediums and all that stuff back then, too. We know that, right? They would, so much information. They would take kids who were very intuitive and put them in the program, the Navy program, the Air Force program. They would do that, right? And so then they would spy on stuff, or so you could go here and say, well, what's happening on the moon? Has anybody ever wondered why we never went back to the moon? Why did we not go back to the moon? Why aren't we going there all the time? We are. We just don't know about it. Most people just don't. Right? So when people are passing over, they tend to release a lot of the information because it's really what's making them sick. If you have this secret that you're carrying, for some of them were 50 years, it will make you sick. Because the energy is made to come in and move through and go out. But you got this information, you can't tell anybody, not even your family. Guarantee you, sickness is around the corner. So on their deathbed, they're revealing all these stories. Yes, when we landed on the moon, there were ships up there watching us. Right? I don't even know the date we landed on the moon, but safe to say that people were on the moon before we even got there. Do we know this? We should know this. That's helpful to everybody. Which means, we're not alone, so let's drop that and let's move on and grow. Besides keep thinking we're these little things and little people and, we need help from the government, and we're much bigger than that. That's why they want to keep us hidden from the truth, because they know once we know, we are out of their control anymore. They can't control us anymore. Right? There's mind control going on. When you it's like Facebook. Right? I'm at work. I'm searching Home Depot. I'm trying to find some art, so this is my work. I'm researching a property. Got to get pictures and so forth, right? I get home on Facebook, here's this property up, right? Or here's the thing I'm looking to buy. So they know stuff, they just don't want you to know it. And again, I always say this, they're not going to tell you. They're not going to come out and say, hey, we're going to the moon every 4 minutes, we can go there and come back. They're not going to tell you, we're dealing with advanced civilizations since before the wars. They're not going to tell you that. Some people are coming out now and saying it 50 years later, but this thing has been going on for a long time. And so what comes out from all this, and it's not about, aliens and all that, what comes out is the technology. We want the technology. How did you get here from over there? So far away that we think if we decide we're going to fly there, it's going to take us light years. So 200 years is going to take us to get there. How did you get here in a matter of moments or in a matter of years? How did you do that? That's just advanced technology, right? And so there's all that stuff that's going on. Advanced technology, as in you can have your cuts and all your stuff repaired in a matter of minutes, or your ailments, because most ailments are from stuff we ingest. Because we ingest something and it messes with our body. So about this ingestion, so much information. So do you know why I'm not saying it's good to be a vegetarian or not. Do you know what is the difference between eating meat and eating vegetables? Anybody care to guess really quick?
Protein.
Protein, okay. All right, so... Okay, acids, okay. All right, so let me tell you. Everything is about memory, right? Memory, everything is memory, right? And so a plant has so much memory, right? And so a cow has so much memory. And so when you ingest that, so your body has to assimilate all the information coming in. Okay, so how did the cow die? Was it slaughtered? Was it starved? What drugs did it have? You have to ingest all that information. And so that's why sometimes it takes a long time for it to go through your body. It has to assimilate the information. That's why sometimes you eat a fruit, it has less information. You eat it, it comes out the same day. In most cases, less information it had to manipulate in your body. Your body is just a computer. We put this program in it, call it an apple, and it extrapolates the information. You put it in, it's a cow, and it has all this information. Where did it live? What was the grass like? What were the people like? Because everything has memory, cellular memory. And so that's the difference between eating vegetables and eating meat. It's just memory we have to deal with as it goes in, right? It has to become a human. You eat an apple, it becomes a human, right? It becomes blood, it goes in, it becomes a human. Same thing with, it has to assimilate and become part of you. And so that's the difference between eating meat and not. I'm not saying you should or should not It's going to be totally up to you. Sometimes I like a nice burger every so often. But I realized back in the day, if I ate a lot of it, it made me sick. The bathroom was my friend a lot. And then when I didn't do that, I was fine. And so for me, I don't eat it that much because that's what it did to me. And everybody's different. Everybody's body is different, right? Your metabolism, whatever it is, if you're young, it's fast. If you're older, it's a little bit slower. Everybody's that way. But it's just information that we ingest. And so that's why we watch what we eat a lot, but we don't watch what we ingest in our brain a lot. And so that's why we need to do that. Right? As you're watching, because we're glued on the storm right now because I got my son and my grandkids are in Florida. We're ingesting all that stuff. And then we wonder why when we leave the TV and go, how we don't feel so good. Because we're ingesting stuff that's not so positive. Right? But if we knew we control all this stuff, when we look at it, it would be different. We would see it different. You know, and I'm praying for the people that are in all those areas and the people that are safe. Are you praying for those people or just the people that are in the hurricane, the path of the hurricane? Again, we should be praying for everybody all the time. And then I say, everybody, are you praying for the animals as well, people are going to ingest later on? You know, you got to think about all these things, right? That's why sometimes when you eat meat, if the animal dies a horrible death, the energy is with the meat. So I went hunting with my friend, right? I wasn't shooting anything, but they were. And I learned something. He was like, he shot the deer. They were using bows and arrows. He shot the deer, and he was like, he couldn't get to it fast enough. And so the deer ran off. And he was like, man, we can't eat the meat. It's going to be just good for jerky or something. Because all the energy, you know, and adrenaline is in the meat. So you really can't eat that. And if you eat it, then of course you're ingesting the energy, poison, or the energy from the whole fight and flight. I'm hurt, I gotta go. So that's why when people eat meat, they don't know why they're going crazy. It's because the energy is in the meat. The information is in the meat, and you're ingesting it, and your body is like, yeah, takes a long time for it to come out. Eventually it will, but again, most people will, well, I'm going to have another one tomorrow, and so it has to do the same thing. And so that's why it's good to eat less information, put it that way. It's good to do that. It helps your body. It helps you, what you have to process. You're clear about stuff. Again, everybody knows this but us. Or the government knows this but us. And so again, I don't blame the government because they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to take care of themselves. On the other side, humans, we're supposed to take care of ourselves too. We don't do that. We wait for help. They're going to help. They're going to help. And I'm 59 years old. Really, they haven't really helped yet. Even though they've been trying to help my mama and my dad and all that when we were back on the island. But we thought, yeah, they're supposed to help. And they want us to do that, but no, we don't need their help. Once you get your energy right, you can get anything you want. You were born with everything you need. Everything you need because you have all the information. You have connection to source, to everything that is. So you were born with everything you need. And then school is supposed to pile up stuff over it so you don't know it. Sorry, that's just my take on it. All my classes are, let's break away some of that stuff. That's all my classes do. Let's break away all these things they told us that you're not. The hardest thing is to be something you're not. So you're this great artist and you don't know it. So you go out and you take all these classes and all these, workshops. It will never work because you're already it. It's almost just a diversion. Just a diversion. You're already it. You're already a medium. You're already a healer. You're already the greatest artist ever, the best singer. You're already it. Again, but we always look outside for it. We don't look inside for it. Right? Inner engineering is the word. And I'm going to stop there because I could go on all day. It's just bubbling right now. I've been thinking about this for days. Okay. Any questions real quick? Or did I be... No? Because we can talk later about it. And I got lots of books that you can look at. Again, sacred geometry you need to take a look at. Because all that's going to tell you how you heal yourself, the platonic solids, all these different images. You can just hold them and meditate on them. And you get energy from just the shape. All right? And so I'm going to leave that with you. You can hit me up later if you like. Thank you for letting me spill the beans.
One comment on the Masons.
Yes.
On their symbol,
Mhm.
there's a G in there that
Mhm.
stands for God and geometry.
Correct. Right. Yes. Right.
And also the secrecy of Masonry started because they knew the geometry.
Mhm.
They didn't want to share it because they want to have job security.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And that's where the secrecy came from.
Right. And I think the secrecy came from if we talked like back then, they couldn't talk like I'm talking now. That would be heresy. Again, off with your head. I'm lucky, you know. I'm sure there are people listening because I'm out of the box, you know, right? Because they don't want you to know this stuff. But the information they have is the greatest information ever. You know, the Masons and the lodges, the Rosicrucians and all those. It's the best information. I just think everybody needs to have it, not just a few. And that's the problem. A few got the information, and then off they go by themselves and create this breakaway civilization where they don't even talk to us no more. We're above you. Just as above, so below. Just like the rich people. I'm above you. I got $20 billion. What can you tell me to do? The same deal. Everybody should have the information. Level playing field. Thank you.
Stand up and stretch.